What do you need to succeed?
I need real skills.
I need real experience. I need real outcomes.
With hundreds of courses to choose from, it's never been easier to steer your career in the right direction. The Gordon can get you there.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's all about football tonight, and gosh, have we got a massive show planned for you tonight. It is going to be huge. It is going to be massive, as it is every week, but just in the last hour or so, we've had some major breaking news. My name is Tonchi Prusak. I'm going to be with you for the next hour and a half or so, and joining me as he does week in, week out, my co-host Steve Curtin. Steve, a very good evening to you, and a very warm welcome to you, mate, even though outside it is freezing cold.
It is chilly out there, Tonchi, and a big welcome to you and to all of our viewers on the Geelong Region Soccer Show tonight. It is our winter solstice edition, so it is appropriate that it is quite chilly out there, I must say. So, yeah, how have you enjoyed your day? Did you manage to keep warm?
It's been flat out. I had a very cold start to the day. I was outdoors this morning at around about 7:30 or so it was absolutely cold. And I tell you what, it didn't seem to warm up, that's for sure. But look, I tell you what, it has been a good day. Lots and lots of news happening. So I'm really itching to get into the news desk very quickly. But what about yourself, mate? How has your start to the week been?
It's been good. Been a busy day of work today, and just went out and did a 10K run yesterday over the hills in Highland Street in Finesford, up the old cement works area. So I'm still recovering from that in the legs. I'm a bit worn out, but I think we'll have enough to get through the 60 minutes tonight.
Oh, that's right, mate. Well, mate, we've got a massive show tonight planned. Our sponsor for this evening's show, for today's show, is the Gordon. Some great courses. Their mid-year intake is happening around about now. And who knows, with the likelihood of another lockdown, it might be time to enroll in an online course. You never know, Steve, but there's hundreds of courses out there that'll interest everyone and anyone. So we certainly urge you to jump on the gordon.edu.au. They've got, like I said, heaps and heaps of interesting courses for you. But mate, what else is coming on the show tonight? What else is apart from obviously the news desk? Who are our guests for tonight?
Well, tonight our feature club is a team that I once played for myself. Actually, it is the team from down there in Grovedale in Reserve Road. It's Barwon Soccer Club, and tonight we're going to have a chat to three gentlemen from down there, and that includes their president, DAVE REA, the man who's been involved. He's a big man on the committee there, but also he's been involved in their strategic plan that's been underway during this shutdown period, and that's COLIN. And finally, we'll have a chat to the senior men's coach there, Dale Harris. Now, it seems like a long time ago, but we talked about this a little earlier, Tonchi. Barwon, they were the form team of the region this year in the FFA Cup. 5 games and 5 wins. They were flying, and if the season was to not go ahead, you would have to give them the medal for the top performing club in the region this season, with not much other football going on so far, apart from some NPL juniors and the Community Cup, where the honours went to the Galaxy and to Geelong.
Yeah, look, they were the informed side. They were, along with Surf Coast and Geelong, the only Geelong remaining clubs, or the remaining Geelong clubs in the Doherty Cup / FFA Cup. So they will certainly be very keen for that to continue. And we'll hear all about it from the man I call the Alpha and Omega at Grovedale Reserve, Dale Harris. He's involved with absolutely everything as far as the playing side of things, if it's not the women, if it's not the community leagues, if it's not the senior men's and the reserves, Dale's got his finger in the pie. So who better to talk about the coming season than with Dale himself? But mate, we're going to take a very, very short break. When I say very, very short break, we're really, really going to just have a quick 5-second break as we have the news desk. And then Steve will be coming straight back to you. Don't go away. Okay, Steve, we're back.
Okay. To celebrate the move to our new day and time, tonight's program of the Geelong Region Soccer Show is also being simulcast live on the Football Out West news page for the first time. We hope this will drive greater viewer engagement and conversation during the program. The Monday night time slot is also aimed at increasing engagement by avoiding clashing with the traditional community club training, which is now resumed for the club on Tuesday nights. But if you are unable to tune into our new time slot, head over to our YouTube page and catch up on all of the action there. Now, moving into exciting news on a world scene, I guess. In what will be a week of nervous excitement, we await the announcement of this Thursday/early Friday morning our time as to who will host the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023. The Australia-New Zealand joint bid, ranked the number one out of the contenders, scored a 4.1 by the evaluation panel, was to go up in voting against a bid from Japan, which was rated a 3.9, but we're told in the last hour that Japan will sensationally pull out of the running, leaving only Colombia with a 2.8 evaluation score as the only other remaining rival bid. So sensational news there, and the benefits of hosting the world's biggest female sporting event in just 3 years' time would be enormous, and we remain with our fingers crossed until the big announcement. But certainly that big headline, as you can see on the screen there, Japan pulling out of the running at the 11th hour. Big news, Tom.
Massive news broken by Kyodo News, the Japanese news agency, just, less than an hour ago. And the South China Morning News also in a report said that Japan will pull out its bid to host the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023. Citing a source close to the bid, Kyodo said Japan would withdraw its bid, while the Japanese Football Association called a press conference for Monday evening, so their time. This is huge news, Steve. It basically means now it's between Australia, New Zealand, and Colombia. Now, the Colombians, the South Americans, their bids scored 2.8 out of a maximum score of 5 as far as FIFA's evaluation of the bids. Australia did really well. They got the highest at 4.1. Not that tells you much, but mate, I guess assessment forced Colombia and obviously the South American Confederation, CONMEBOL, to complain to FIFA, and the world's governing body responded in a 4-page letter. Fatma Samura, the Secretary General of FIFA, replied that all steps were taken to conduct the evaluation in a highly objective manner. Mate, this is big news. If Australia and New Zealand gets it, the 2023 event will in fact be the first time that 32 teams are featured. So big news, mate. Big, really big news.
It is big news. I had the good fortune of being over there in France for the tournament last year, and you can't underestimate how big this tournament is.
Yes.
This time last year, mate. Yeah. You can't underestimate how big this tournament is, particularly now that the big European nations have really embraced women's football, and they've caught up with us, who we were kind of front runners along there with the USA and Brazil and some of these, and Japan and some of these nations for a while. So
yep,
it is the biggest female sporting event in the world, and it could be coming to Australia in 3 years' time. Fingers crossed as well. Melbourne being one of the host venues, we might even see one of the 32 teams basing themselves in Geelong, as I believe it was Saudi Arabia did down at actually at Torquay in the Asian Cup of 2015.
Yeah, it would be fantastic.
Okay. Now, big news on Friday evening was the FFA announced a Fox Sports TV deal to resume on July 16th, which coincides with the resumption of the A-League, and that will run through until July 31st, 2020. So the A-League and the Westfield W League 2021 seasons will also be shown on Fox Sports. Free-to-air broadcast partner ABC will continue to broadcast one A-League and one W League match per week through to the end of July 2021, along with FFA-controlled Socceroos and Matildas matches. The new agreement will no longer see the FFA Cup broadcast on Fox Sports, and the FFA will consider innovative new broadcast arrangements for the only truly national cup competition in Australian sport. So that is very exciting. In very big news, FFA CEO James Johnson added the key feature of the new broadcast deal includes a shift in the timing of the next A-League season, with the next season commencing in December 2020 and concluding in July 2021. A quote from the CEO reads, "The shift in timing of the next season of the A-League is a strategic decision to enhance the alignment of our top-tier professional men's league with the grassroots playing season of the largest community sport in the country. There are numerous benefits to this, including better aligning the competition pyramid of Australian football to facilitate enhanced football outcomes, like a modern domestic transfer system, and enabling deeper engagement with our vast grassroots football community at the precise time our many participants are most engaged in our great game. Despite challenging times, this deal will help us continue the process of transforming our professional leagues and move the sport towards an exciting future." Now, on Friday night, I was out for dinner when this news drops, and I read the headline and didn't read through the full article until midway through the weekend. And then, obviously, when you read the content in there, that actually knocks your socks off, because it's something that we've been probably advocating for, the both of us, over the recent time, is to use this COVID-19 shutdown as an opportunity to look at realigning, restructuring our football pyramid. And full credit to James Johnson. So it looks like he's stepping in and doing it.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, I think whatever he does, it's football's such a game of opinions. It's all opinions are going to, I think, polarize people. You know, last night, for example, on the football fan zone, we had quite a fair few people ringing in. You know, some were really excited about the prospect of you know, the season's changing. Others were saying, you know, you basically now need to really restructure, I guess, the grassroots element of the game, and this is the ideal time for that to happen. You know, it's interesting times ahead. It really, really is. I don't know what to make of it 100%. A lot of it comes back down to the dollar. You know, what sort of resources will we have? You know, let's face it, the professional game has lost a lot of sponsors over the last 12 to 18 months, you know, and how now with the COVID crisis, which is a real crisis, as we can see, it's affecting everyone from the very top to the very bottom. It's hard to make heads or tails of it. I think that the sooner we just get the season up and running, at least here locally, as far as community and NPL is concerned, the better, because I think that has to be the start of something. You know, otherwise, the further and further, the longer and longer we go with this uncertainty, the more victims we're going to have. Speaking of which, there's some news that has just broken at hand, Steve.
Yeah, well, on a local front, we've already had Armstrong United. They've indicated that they're pulling out of the competition for the 2020 season. And further to that, we've had an announcement that's just come through tonight regarding the 2020 season, and it's from FC Leopold, who say, after much deliberation and consideration into the viability of the 2020 season, the FC Leopold committee has made the very tough decision to withdraw all teams, senior men and women, juniors and mini-roos, from the 2020 season. With the recent retightening of COVID-19 restrictions by the Victorian government, a lack of clarity from Football Victoria regarding how the season will look and what would happen should the season need to come to a halt, we felt that this is the best decision to make. So there you have it there. There's the press release there. It's on the FC Leopold Facebook page, as you can see on our screen. So big news, the second club to withdraw all of their teams in the region. So will there be more? We'll just have to wait and see on that one.
I think the key here, Steve, is the point that's made in paragraph 3 there. We have always put safety above anything else, and this is an occasion we need to show that our club philosophy is more than just words. But here's the big one. Here's the big one, and this is something almost, well, I won't say word for word, but it's pretty much exactly what Armstrong United also stated in their press release. We also do not feel that we can morally ask for registration funds for the season with so many unknowns. And I guess, Steve, that's it. That's the bottom line of, you know what? I think this is where probably FFV or Football Victoria maybe could have handled things a little bit better. I think it's that insistence of, look, we're talking about when the season's going to start, but we don't exactly know 100%, you know, how long it's going to be and this and that. And we're starting to get that information now, but, you know, by now clubs have already started making their decision as to, you know, what they're going to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, you're right. It's a difficult call to make a decision about what's going to happen when you literally don't know how many games you will play, when the season will run through until. Players have other commitments outside of the, you know, the regular season, especially at community clubs. But especially, you have to say full credit to the clubs such as Armstrong United and now FC Leopold, who've done made the decision based on what is a moral decision, as they've said there, and both also a player welfare situation. So, I mean, with those reasons, you can only give them credit for their decisions that they've made.
And look, they're looking after their own members, and ultimately, that's what each club is there to do. You know, you can't dictate to other clubs what they should and shouldn't do. You can't judge them. They've acted in the best interests of their own members. And other clubs will act differently. Other clubs will act accordingly to whatever their members want, need, and that sort of stuff. So, you know, you got to really, really reiterate the point that they're making a decision that best suits, or they feel best suits their members. And ultimately, I think you certainly cannot criticize something like that. As you said, on the contrary, I think you really, really got to take your cap off. But on the screen now, we've got the competition season date. So we did mention this last week. We'll go through it again, Steve. But the NPL juniors, the junior boys are effectively meant to start very, very soon, in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, 4th, 5th of July. NPL junior girls along with community club juniors, that's the weekend of the 11th and 12th of July. Senior grades of the NPL, NPLW, the new VPLW, state leagues, Metro and Masters, they are scheduled for a return on the weekend of the 25th and 26th of July. One would assume that our local league community clubs would also be returning on that date, the 25th and 26th of July. All things going well, Tonchi.
Yeah. Look, I think that's the plan. Obviously, you know, there's so many what ifs. What if there's another outbreak? What if this? What if that? You know, what if too many teams pull out? There's not enough teams. You know, we can't talk about the hypotheticals at the moment. What we can talk about, the facts are that though what you see there on the screen, they are the planned commencement dates of the 2020 season. We did mention the community club juniors and the mini roos are on the 11th and 12th of July. So the 11th being the Saturday, the 12th being the Sunday. Now, one thing about the mini roos, Steve, and this will be interesting. This year, for the first time, they're not going to run the hubs. As good as the hubs were, and I'm sure everyone will agree how fun they were a big job, number one. Number two, they attracted, you know, sometimes thousands upon thousands of people. So, you know, to I guess not have the concern or the worry of organising these hubs, it makes it a lot easier. So all of the mini roos, under 7s, under 9s, under 11s, they will be home and away. So that's going to be interesting to see how it works. Who knows? By accident, by mistake, everyone might turn around and say, this works fantastically. This works great. You know, would rather have this in 2021 and going forward. So it will be interesting to see what does eventuate there. But some interesting times ahead, that's for sure. Steve, anything else?
That's right. And just going on from that, I know thanks to our best news hand in the business, Brenton Ray, the Ray Man, he's actually supplied us with the scheduled competition completion dates. So a lot of people have been saying, when will the season run through until? Community junior comps are meant to be completed by the 11th of October in this particular year. State and community senior comps by the 18th of October, with a possible extension on the clubs with standalone facilities. So that might be an open-ended date, possibly. And then for the NPL Junior, NPLW, and NPL clubs, they will not be subjected to a set completion date at the moment due to them all having standalone footballing facilities. Now, going on from that, this Thursday night at 7 p.m, tune in to the Football Out West program to hear Football Victoria Executive Manager of Football Operations, Will Hasty, outline the upcoming return to community football across Victoria. It's an episode not to be missed. So be sure to join Craig and Tonchi on Thursday at 7.
Big show. As many answers will be answered, or as many questions will be answered, or hopefully this Thursday. So 7 p.m. That's on the Football Out West News Facebook page. It will be simulcast on here on the Geelong Region Soccer News page as well. It's one of the innovations that we have. We tested last night with the Football Fan Zone. For the first time, we actually were able to simulcast on 2 separate Facebook channels. It went absolutely fantastically well. And even tonight, we're just noticing things are, even though it's a new day, new time slot, people are not going to be familiar with this just yet. But it's already, as we're progressing, both Facebook pages are doing quite well. Now, before we do finish up with the news desk, Steve, the times, decision day is this Friday morning, our time, Australian time, for the announcement of the FIFA Women's World Cup. It's 2:00 Australian Eastern Standard Time. It will be streamed live on FIFA.com. So 2 things. We're urging you all, obviously, to get up in the middle of the night or you can always find out from social media the following morning. But also jump on board the as12023.com website. Register your support. I mean, last count, there were well over 750,000, 750,000 people that had registered their support. I would love to see that number skyrocket to over 1 million. I don't know if you get much out of it. You put on a database and you get information as far as ticketing and all that. But I guess it's great to be part of that tribal communal element supporting the World Game here in Australia. And fair income, I would give anything to see, football overtake freaking AFL and NRL on the back page of the Herald Sun and Daily Telegraph. I'd do anything to see that happen, even if it is for a short time. So fingers crossed, 2023 is the year that's going to happen.
Well, there's a feeling of change in the wings, and now we just need a little bit of luck to get this tournament hosting over the line, and then hopefully we can go from there. I've got my cup from Paris last year, so hopefully if that counts for anything, for the evaluation committee when they're bidding on Friday night.
Absolutely, mate.
Friday morning, should I say?
Yeah.
And just finally, just going around the grounds down at Barwon Soccer Club, the Hammerheads have outlined their return to football plans during the week, and North Geelong pitch works are underway at resurfacing the lower pitches at Elco Park.
So good news happening despite the COVID crisis era, and so it's good to see. I also did see a post by Breakwater Eagles who featured on our show a couple of weeks ago. They're also all systems go for the season ahead, so looks like they're fielding more teams than they did last year. So numbers are looking good throughout. Absolutely fantastic. Big cheerio. A big cheerio also out to Rose Piratina, who featured on our show last week. Fantastic effort that she did. And there was a few other people as well from the Geelong football fraternity who participated in the CEO sleep out.
I believe Joe Connor was involved as well.
Yeah, Mike McKinstry,
Mike,
so they were both involved, which is fantastic to see as well. And Rose, I think, raised 6,000 or something like that.
What a fantastic effort! Yeah,
brilliant effort. So some fantastic things happening there, without a doubt. Look, Steve? Any other news? Is that it? I think
that's about all. Just finally, good to have the EPL back on the weekend.
Yes, yep.
I'm a bit weary from some late nights dialing into my Optus Sports stream, and I enjoyed the facility that you can now choose between the crowd effects on and off. What about yourself, Tonchi? Are you a crowd effects on or off man?
Look, when it comes to football, when it comes to soccer, I think it's just natural to have that, the rhythmic sounds of the drums or the chanting or whatever, and it makes it sound real, makes it sound authentic. I don't know about, I've watched a couple of games of the AFL and I watched a couple of games of the NRL. It just doesn't feel the same. I'm sorry. They can do whatever they like to their games, but they just cannot compete with the round ball code. I'm sorry. I'm very biased, but I'll tell you how it is. But I'm loving the crowd effects.
Yeah, I'm actually a crowd noise off man. I've been able to enjoy getting that extra insight and hearing what the noises are coming from out on the field and on the dugout. Like, it was a bit daunting in that Arsenal Brighton game when Leno was injured and you could hear him wailing out on the pitch as the treatment was coming on. That was a bit daunting, but otherwise it's been good. You can sort of get that extra insight, hear what's happening out there,
and it's good. It's good you've got the choice. You can go either way.
Right, unlike the AFL and NRL, where you don't have the choice. It's up to you. So,
but I think
that's a great picture. Also, La Liga, the crowd have been superimposed into the stadium, and the best comment on YouTube was the comparison to that and the crowd in FIFA 99.
Yeah, there you go. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? A bit silly. But yeah, look, so got some interesting stuff happening over in Europe, but the most interesting thing was that Everton, they drew with Liverpool. So Liverpool will have to wait another week to capture the EPL title. There's no stopping them, Steve. I think there's no stopping them. I think Liverpool, the juggernaut that is the Reds, they will come home.
It's a runaway train, that one.
Absolutely. But it will be interesting at the other end of the table, and the battle for Europe for next year's European spots. So look, lots happening. Right. You've got the A-League happening July 16, I think it is. The first game is going to be Western United against Melbourne Victory. What better way than to come back after such a long break? So look, next month, have faith, folks. Have faith. Football's coming home. Not to England, but to every other football venue around town here. It is coming home, and I'm excited. And on that note, we're going to take a little bit of a break. And when we return, we're going to have our first guests up, Colin Drain and Dave Rea from Barwon Soccer Club.
What do you need to succeed?
I need real skills.
What do you need to succeed?
I need real skills.
Experience. I need real outcomes.
With hundreds of courses to choose from, it's never been easier to steer your career in the right direction. The Gordon can get you there.
Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Steve, we've got our first guests ready to come on.
We do indeed, Tonchi, and we are going now to... Are they actually at the ground down there at Reserve Road?
Oh, I think they are, and they're sitting next to each other. Like they're like and all we can now see is the ceiling. So first of all, we might get Dave. Is Dave there? If Dave, you can move a little bit closer to us. There he is. Dave Rea, how are you, mate? How's things? Nice to see you.
Good, Tonchi. Good, Steve. Hope you're well.
Now, apologies, I just called you Ria. It's Dave Rea. I have to get that right. It's like that famous 80s singer Chris Rea, wasn't it? He had the same spelling, but just a different way of pronouncing it, eh?
That's right. Yeah.
That's better.
No, you're doing well. It doesn't matter, Tunchy, one way or other.
Now, mate, thank you. Both of you have been very kind enough to take some time out of this busy schedule to join us. So we really, really do appreciate it. Now, it's great to have you both on. You've both been on with the show on last year. Dave, how has the COVID pandemic affected the Barwon Soccer Club? Let's get straight to the point.
Look, Tunchy, we had a great pre-season into the FA Cup and still in it at the fourth round, and everybody was pretty pumped. And then all of a sudden, it was all over. There was no training, no socializing, and it was a bit of a struggle there. So I think Dale was pulling out his hair. He couldn't coach, and we just all went away for the last 2.5 months or whatever it was, and wasn't really doing anything. There was so much different reports coming out, and everybody was just sitting back and waiting for the sort of go ahead to start training. So it's certainly been a big damper on our season to start with, but we're just hoping now that we've saw some dates that we can get things back on track.
Yeah, it did come at a bad time. Now, looking from afar, we can say that Barwon has not gone into hibernation. A lot has happened in the last few months during the lockdown period, and not all of it bad either. As far as engagement with players and coaches, Barwon has entered an interesting partnership with a UK coaching organisation. This has provided the club's players and somewhat a top quality train-at-home program. Would that be accurate? And can you tell us a little bit more about the program and how that came about?
Look, Colin will organise it, so I'll let him explain it.
Yeah, it was something that I was looking at before the season got going.
Hello?
I wanted to find...
Seem to be having some bad videos here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, that's better.
We can do most of it, yeah.
So before the season got going, I looked at a few different options for a paid subscription website or app that coaches could use to give them real good quality coaching resources, make sure that their lives as coaches were as easy as possible. I had a chat with a couple of guys in the UK. They demonstrated it to over the screen, and it looked like a real good product to use. So we decided to go ahead with that. We bought a club license for all of our coaches, and then when training stopped, they got in touch and they told me about a sister product that they had, which was called Top Techers, and it's aimed at 5-year-old kids to 12, 13-year-olds. They sold it as a program that kids could use on their own, practice their own individual skills, but it was also a social app as well. They could compete against their teammates, see who got the best scores, earn rewards, have little league tables for their own little team. And yeah, we looked at that, and obviously with the timing of the coronavirus, we thought it'd be a great idea for the kids to have something meaningful to do on their own at home.
Yep.
And yeah, we just paid for a subscription for about 3 or 4 months for each of our children, and rolled it out from there. And I think the feedback we've had has been very good. There's a couple of teams that are using it extensively, and also all the kids seem to be enjoying the challenges.
Awesome. Is that something maybe the club might be looking at in the off season as well, for those kids that may want to get some extra training or extra advice or extra whatever the case may be over the summer months when the club's sort of in hiatus? Yeah,
we'll get some feedback from the parents and the kids and see what they thought of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a paid subscription.
Yep.
So we'd have to look at the costs and see what we can work out with the coaching manual guys over in the UK.
Fantastic. Now, either Colin or Dave, either of the two of you can answer this. But as we know, Barwon has been extensively involved with the Headspace organisation. Can you tell us a bit about the involvement from your club's point of view with that organisation? And also, are there any other player welfare initiatives going on around the club since we last caught up?
Look, Headspace was an idea. We had an idea probably a couple of seasons ago about trying to get either like a chaplain or somebody at the club who, players, parents, if they had some issues or if they wanted someone to talk to, there would be a trained person at the club. And we did try a few different angles on that. And then we had Jack Viper come up with the idea. He had some involvement with Headspace, and he approached them and asked them to come on board with the club and provide documentation or contacts. And we had Headspace at the club during one of our games last year, and we invited a lot of people here, the young people and that, to come and have a chat and listen to what they had to say. And we've been, it's something that we want to provide at the club, that there is, and we know there is plenty of mental issues out there, and it's something we just want to provide. And I think it's getting someone with a little bit of training that knows what they're talking about, and we'll continue with that again this year and into the future, hopefully.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Great initiative. Great initiative.
It could be coming in handy this year too with all we've been through. Now that we're back at training with the commencement date approaching for both seniors and juniors next month, how has the return to training process been handled by the club, and was it a smooth transition?
Yeah, I think we've got a group of coordinators at various age groups and levels. So we worked together. We looked at all the rules and protocols that had to be followed. We made sure that all the coaches were comfortable with what they would have to go through to get the kids back training safely. Obviously, we had to go and buy a lot of cleaning products and map out all the individual areas that each team would be using. There's a fairly extensive list of rules that had to be followed, but yeah, we were all just desperate to comply and get the kids back training as quickly as possible. We've been training about 3 weeks now, and obviously the small groups to start with, a bit tricky. Obviously limited to what kind of exercises and games that you can play, with the contact element being more as an option for under 18s now this week. Hopefully the kids will start to enjoy their training a little bit more.
Is there any, because you guys are at the club now, is there anyone, poke your head out the window, are there any of the juniors training at the moment, and are they engaging in now that we can do contact training? Are we seeing any over the top slide tackles or anything like that?
There might be a bit of frustration to come out, I think, when they start that again.
Built up frustration.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh, shush, Siri.
Siri, your wife,
that was Siri. That was Siri. I've got a
question for the guys.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, numbers-wise, are you expecting to lose, gain, or keep the same numbers as initially expected going into the 2020 season prior to the COVID shutdown?
Look, Tonchi, I think we've certainly lost probably 10-15% of what we had. We're probably just about 350, 360 still keen and still are going to play through the year. So that's probably down 70 or 80 from last year. But we are picking up. There's still people now now they know there's dates and that's wanting to join. So we can certainly take players in some of our junior teams. Some of our junior teams we've capped them already, but I know our 17s to get two 17s running, we probably need 4 or 5 players to give us a 14, 15 per squad. Our juniors are really ball. Our mini roos will probably just take whoever wants to have a game, and we'll.
Are we having some bad audio, Steve, from your end?
We've probably got 5 teams in most age groups, and we can always look at taking a few more. So numbers down, but still.
Yeah,
we seem to be
some slight connection issues.
Yeah, we're having some connection issues. It's not just me. I thought it was me for a moment, but it's not just me.
We got most of the message there regarding that question. So numbers are slightly down. Some squads are full, and some squads will have space for more players. And obviously, those mini roos spaces, it's anyone who would like to play would be able to come and resume.
Yeah, no, it looks like we may have lost the guys. Hopefully, we'll try and get them back if we can. But it was 10-15% from what I heard. Which is not too bad, all things considering. And I think this is something that we mentioned earlier in the program. The longer we go without football or without the start of the season, especially with the kids, the more and more the kids are going to lose enthusiasm. And look, I think as soon as the kids start to show a little bit of a drop in enthusiasm, well, then the parents these days don't need much, and they're going to turn around and say, well, I'd rather stay on a cold night like tonight. I'd rather stay indoors and watch The Voice or something else, or whatever the case may be. But
that's it.
Unfortunately, we have lost. They have dropped out. It was really, really bad reception there for a while. So unfortunately, they have
go back in.
Yeah. Well, we might just take a bit of a break, and we'll try and get them back on the line. And in the meantime, we'll just have a word from our sponsor from tonight, the Gordon.
What do you need to succeed?
I need real skills.
I need real experience. I need real outcomes.
With hundreds of courses to choose from, it's never been easier to steer your career in the right direction. The Gordon can get you there.
Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 45, and we may have the gentlemen back. We're hoping that they're going to now be able to.
Fingers crossed.
Here we go. We've got.
Hello, Colin and Dave.
We've got the dynamic duo back in town. How are we, fellas?
No, good.
Still here. Dale walked in and just everything went to pieces.
He was the reason. Is that right? There you go. Now, just before we broke up, we were talking about numbers. Dave was giving us a bit of an insight, but there were players always constantly coming through. Now, we heard last week that Armstrong United have decided to pull the pin. But, Steve, earlier tonight we talked about Leopold as well.
We did. And I guess the next question that we have to frame is surrounding those clubs that have shut down. Would that have any effect on Barwon? And would players from the neighbouring clubs such as Armstrong United be potentially looking to switch from the Pelicans to Barwon?
Look, we haven't really had a lot of inquiries. And I suppose if we did have, we'd just have to look at what teams required numbers, and for the junior ages, we could probably take some players. Certainly in the mini roos, we have more capacity to take extra kids, and if there was people interested, we have no worries about taking them on for the year. Yeah.
Colin, a question for you. We'll talk about the senior men's with Dale a little later on. But as far as the other aspects of the club's concerned, senior women, local community men, the juniors, the mini roos, how is the club looking at the moment with regards to that?
I think the women are going really well. They've been getting about 15 to 18 every training session. We've got a new coaching partnership in place this year, and the women seem to be enjoying their training. So they're just raring to get going. The junior boys and girls, I'm looking after the under 12s and up to 15s age groups.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've probably lost a few from each age group, but we've still got good sized squads across the board. And as Dave said, under 17s we need a few more to bolster their numbers. But the last couple of weeks, seen them all back in training and getting really good turnouts, and the kids just loving being back on the pitch again.
That's fantastic. Great stuff there.
Now, off the field, the club's come a really long way with including infrastructure, and construction has started on the change room expansion at Grovedale Reserve. How is that coming along, and when do you expect that to be completed?
Look, it's every night you come up, you see a little bit more done. We did hope to have it sort of by, probably in the next month. We intend it to be in, but with things as they were, there was a few cancellations, and we found some power on the site that we didn't know was here, and that put things back about 6 weeks. So look, the builders are getting into it, and I'm thinking, with a bit of luck, maybe August we might see getting into the new rooms.
Fantastic. That is awesome. Dave, what is then the next stage in terms of the ground redevelopment or the improvement of facilities at the ground as a whole? There was talk, I think, earlier this year about a master plan being developed or devised. What's the latest on that?
Look, Tonchi, the council did a feasibility study over the summer, looking at a third pitch, basically taking our small synthetic and extending that to a full size. Now, the feedback we have got and the reports we have got back to say that probably won't happen. There's just too much community feedback coming back saying they don't want trees, they don't want, the park area taken up with another pitch. And I think the council probably, we probably could go and fight it a bit, but we may be in a losing battle with that. So at the minute, it looks like the two full size and the half size synthetic is all we're gonna have at present. The other option that was tossed up was that maybe the grass pitch is becoming synthetic. It's probably something we prefer not to happen, but it would probably help us increase numbers because we wouldn't have to worry about the condition of the ground or the high training numbers that we would have.
Now, Dave, just on that as well, has Barwon been looking at the option of going after a second facility somewhere else close by to cater for that overflow, especially with regards to training?
Yeah, we did have a look, Steve. We did sort of start off at Howard Glover with some of our playing this year, the games at the start of the year. We did then get a facility at Eastern Gardens where we trained, no lights, but we trained the early part of the season there. And I suppose the other option for us was down at Barwon Common. there is lights there, but we tried that last year, but the ground was just so hard. There's no sprinkler system there, no irrigation. The lights are good, but it just wasn't working out for us. The condition of the pitch in the summer, but it's certainly something that we would look at probably for next year. That we can train off site, keep the pitches as good as possible. Train one night here, one night at a training ground somewhere. But same thing, the council didn't want to give us it for free, so we'd be paying for 2 grounds, which probably isn't, and for the lights as well, which adds a bit of extra cost to our budget for the year. So, but it's something where we'll have to look at.
Colin, question for you. Obviously, because you're involved in the strategic plan of things at Barwon Soccer Club, this is probably a really, really good question for you. But turning our attention to football in Geelong in general, are we as a sport travelling in the right direction in your opinion? And what else, in your opinion, needs to be done to get us to another level? Tough question. It's a tough one. I guess there's no right or wrong answer in there, is there? It's just purely your opinion. But I'd be really interested to know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I've been involved with the local game for 10 years here now, and I've definitely seen a lot of improvement over that period of time. But to be honest, I think what we need, long term, is more clubs. It does get a little bit repetitive playing the same 6 or 7 clubs. I think as soon as you go into the juniors competition, the fact that all the clubs in Geelong compete against each other, and you get to meet guys and girls from other clubs in the northern region, I think it's a great thing. And this year, it's going to happen with certainly the under-11s and the mini-roos, and possibly even the younger kids as well. I just think sort of exposing all the players to different styles of play, different mentalities of teams. I think there's definitely the senior football. But again, still like to see a few more clubs get up and running over the next 5 years if the population keeps growing. I mean, Armstrong United was the latest one, Leopold a couple of years before that. So give it a bit more time, and 1 or 2 more might spring up.
I think it's Colin. Every time Colin takes the microphone, it would be good to see. Every time Colin takes the microphone, there's some audio. Has Dale walked in again? Can we get Dale to get out? Steve, he is there. He is there. Well, we get him on very shortly. But Steve, you've got a question for Colin.
Colin, in your role, and also a good point there, it would be good to see more clubs around the Geelong region as the region grows. But in your role at Grovedale Reserve as a club treasurer, also in the coaching capacity, but you've also been the main driver behind the club's release of its strategic plan. Can you tell us a bit more about the process involved in developing that strategic plan and the outcomes of the released report?
Yeah, sure. So that all started for about 18 months ago now, when we went to a seminar which was sponsored by Leisure Networks in the City of Greater Geelong. There was some funding, some grant money on the table, which we applied for, and we're gratefully accepting of that. Pretty much the process started over 12 months ago. We put out a survey to all of our members. We got about 25-30% response. Covered a wide range of topics, but I think that the main thing that it showed us that we're doing a lot of things well. It didn't throw up too many issues or areas of concern or anything that was breaking up again.
breaking up again. Look, what we might get you to do is ring us up on the mobile, and we'll actually do that. We might have to do that. Yeah, it's unfortunately, but it just does not sound too good. But we'll try and get Colin on the mobile. We've got him now.
There we go. We can hear it ringing.
That's better now. That's better now. We can hear you a lot better. So we just don't have a photo of you. We're just going to have to put up a photo or something like that. But we're talking about the strategic plan. So tell us a little bit about how that strategic plan, how you went about formulating it and developing that.
So the starting point was a survey to our members last year at the beginning of the year. From that, we got about 100 responses. Overall, we were very pleased and with the feedback. It showed us that we were doing a lot of things well. It didn't throw up any significant issues or anything that, as a committee, we weren't expecting, which was good. And then we also looked at the key areas where there were, I guess, more tangible areas that we could look at improving or continuing to improve the work that we have been doing. We had some discussion groups going on with the committee and some informal chats with some other coaching staff and volunteers and some players and things like that. Then we engaged a third party who is aware of the club but isn't as close as any of us on the committee. We wanted it to be sort of almost looking at it from a fresh pair of eyes. At the end of the day, it's going to be the members' plan. It's not the committee's plan.
How did you find that by having someone who was, somewhat of a neutral facilitating that process, as opposed to maybe even having someone that was there at the club but might be that little bit, I guess, prejudice in some of their opinions and stuff? Was that a big plus, a positive? Hello?
Too much feedback. Sorry, Dale was just sticking his phone in my face, and I'm getting lots of feedback from it. So, I think it's an essential part of it. As I said, you need someone who can just step back and look at it from a strategic point of view without getting involved in all the minute details of what we do on a weekly basis. So that was a big positive for us, and I think the individuals on the committee felt that was a benefit when they were having those discussions. So she then was able to go away and basically put a working document together, which gave us our strengths and weaknesses, threats and opportunities, things we are doing well, and obviously the areas that we wanted to focus on. So that kind of brought us to what we felt were our four main strategic priorities, which was put together in our document, which was a condensed version, I guess, which we made available for our members and the general public. Behind that, we've obviously got action plans, which have started putting a more detailed list of actions and budgets and assigning responsibility to individuals and trying to get as much help as we can from other people who are interested in those particular areas. So we're looking at obviously the club as a brand and enhancing the members' experience. We're looking at player development and coach development, and we're looking at obviously facilities and infrastructure, and the last one is on general governance and running of the club.
Okay, Colin, a few weeks back we had Lisa Brooks from Geelong Rangers on the show, who spoke about the importance of clubs developing their own version of a strategic plan. Sorry, Sorry,
can you hear him?
Oh, yeah, you might not be able to hear me, Colin. Sorry.
Hello?
Hi.
Try that now. Try that, Steve.
Hi, Colin, it's Steve. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Steve, I can hear you.
Good. Yeah, just confirming that question. A few weeks back, we had Lisa Brooks from Rangers on the show who spoke about the importance of clubs developing their own version of the strategic plan. What advice would you have for clubs that are going down that path?
I think it's just take your time. It's something you don't want to be doing. Or certainly more than every 2, 3, 4 years, and just making sure you get it right, and just approach it from the angle that it is the members of the club who will dictate where they want their club to grow or to go, and what they want their club to be. So just obviously listen to the general membership, and rather than trying to drive individuals, I guess, desires of what they want the club to be.
And as you said there, you don't want to do it every more than sort of 3 or so years. How long into the future is your current strategic report looking?
We're going up to 2023.
So next 3 years. Yeah.
Well, just on the screen now, we've got one of the pages there. What is a strategic plan? And you've really outlined it very well. It says, the strategic plan will establish a framework for future decision making, create shared values, educate and motivate members. And I guess that's an important one, because apart from the fact that the members feel like they're being part of the decision making process, they're actually buying into the vision, aren't they, of the leadership, and that guides succession planning. So if someone's going to come on the committee in a few years to come, look, that's a really good tangible way of knowing where the club's headed. The other thing that it says, identify where resources should be directed, demonstrate to regulatory bodies, potential sponsors and others what the club stands for. So it's fantastic the way you've not only done all the research, but the way you've packaged it as well.
Thanks, Ponty. Bit of design work I just managed to pick up using a little program called Canva.
Yeah. And on the screen now, we've got the member survey summary. So, 92% of members live less than 20 minutes drive. Now, this is good, really good statistics here. 81% believe the club provides a family environment that welcomes all abilities. 79% play for fitness enjoyment. 97% think they get good value for money. Colin, that's fantastic. That's really, really high customer satisfaction, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was great, very pleasing to see those results. I think the last time we did a survey was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. We did a couple in quick succession, but not as part of a strategic plan process, just as a way of gauging the general feeling of the players and parents. And it's good, as I said, good to know that we are doing things well and moving in the right direction.
And coaching is always something that is criticised. Coaches are not good enough, or this or that. But 95% of respondents for the Barwon strategic plan are very happy with the standard of coaching, and a further 87% are happy with the standard of the facilities. Look, when all's said and done, you've got some very, very happy punters at Barwon Soccer Club. But I guess with the strategic plan, you're always going to try and take that to another level, or to keep that high standard going, correct?
Yeah, of course. We don't want to stand still and sort of fall behind what other clubs and other sports are doing. We want to obviously keep being innovative and coming up with ideas on how we can embrace technology and moving forward to give the kids, I guess, a better experience rather than just being out in the field kicking the ball around. We want to be getting into the social media. A lot of interaction on Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing as well. So, we're just trying new ideas and seeing what works.
Absolutely. Steve, any more questions, or that's it?
I don't have any more questions, actually, but I'd just like to congratulate the guys on their professionalism in the off-field game at Barwon. The club is going great guns. It's come a long way over the years, and it's gone from strength to strength, and it's come a long way since I was having a kick down there in, I think, 2006 as well. So very, very well done to you guys, Dave and Colin and everyone else working behind the scenes off the field at Reserve Road. Hats off to you guys. You're doing great.
Thanks, Steve. You're always welcome to come back and play, mate. We've got a loaf of bread waiting for you.
Someone's done their homework.
Oh, are they stories that stay on tour? Are they the sort of things that we shouldn't talk too much about, Steve?
Yeah, we won't say anymore.
That's
good about that one.
All right, Colin and Dave, thank you very, very much for joining us. Really, really appreciate the insight into a great club that is Barwon Soccer Club. Oh, there he's gone. He's gone. Yeah. Well, there you go. A very, very interesting insight. And every time we do get the lads on from Barwon Soccer Club, they're always they're always full of insight, full of good advice for other clubs as well. And it really is a well-run club. It certainly seems that is the case down at Grovedale Reserve, Steve.
Absolutely, that's right. So going from their professionalism off the field, it's now time to have a look at their professionalism on the field as we move into the coaching realms of the senior squad, Tonji.
Yeah, and we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to have another word from our sponsors tonight. When we return, we'll be talking to the senior coach of the men's team, Dale Harris. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 45, a new day, a new time slot, Steve. And on the line, we've got a man who is, I call him the alpha and omega at Barwon Soccer Club. He's got his finger in the pie down there, and he's been kind enough to join us tonight. None other than Dale Harris. Dale, you've been called lots of names, but we've got Craig Fowler, who's my co-host on the Football Out West show. He's saying, when is Coach Carter coming on? Great to have you on board, mate. How are things?
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, all's going great. Just can't wait to get this whole program up and running again. Season. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And now Steve and I were talking before the show just how well you guys have been going in the pre-season. Your Facebook, your FFA Cup, sorry. Your feedback from your end or my end?
Excuse me?
Some really bad feedback.
Sounds like there's a footy song playing somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Is there some music happening somewhere in the background? I don't know. But yeah. Dale, you must have been really happy with your pre-season form in the FFA Cup.
Absolutely. We've got a very, very young squad. Basically about 15 new players. We've only got about 2 or 3 players left from last season's squad. The boys gelled quicker than I expected them to, and very, very happy with the results so far. I really wasn't expecting us to click and gel as quickly as we did, but it's an added bonus. The boys have really been working hard, and those FFA Cup games the results were fully deserved, in my opinion. Boys put in all the hard yards, and they were rewarded at the end of the day.
Now, Dale, just going through those results again, going back to the 15th of February, so a long time ago, you guys defeated Rosebud 3-2, then a 5-0 win over Glen Waverley, and a 1 win over Broadmeadows Stars, and on the road, a 4-2 win over Frankston Pines, and a 3-1 win over Sandringham. As an exceptional run of results, was there a particular highlight for you as a coach at any point in those 5 games that stood out more than the others?
I would say the Frankston Pines game. That game was absolutely amazing. I mean, just being part of the squad on that day, the boys, they were just ready. They were in good condition. The boys were fired up. The bus trip there was a trip of focus, if I can say, put it that way. And for us to beat a team 2 divisions higher than us and play the way the youngsters played, even though we were missing a few players, all credit to the young squad. I think we put out an under-19 squad that day, and they did exceptionally well. We were under, they're a good side. Franks and Pines are a good side. I mean, State 3 side, State 5 side. You're not expecting to beat them and beat them by 2 goals at the end of the day as well, and leading for almost the entire game. So hats off to the lads. They really showed a lot of character. I mean, they may be a young squad, but they men when they step on that field.
Now, mate, you had some very, very good recruits come over to Global Reserve. We had I think it's from Steve's end. Must be from Steve's end. No, definitely not from his end. No, there's some sort of feedback. I'm not too sure what's going on. But anyway, you had some really good recruits coming over in the off season. Players like Milton Bailey, obviously from Surf Coast, but then you also picked up a couple of players from Lara, and I think it was Golden Plains as well. How have those players linked up with the rest of the squad, and how were they starting to look in the early part of the season?
They came in obviously with a lot of them having MPL experience of playing. Although junior level, they were still more than capable of matching at senior level, especially in State 5. And they really came in. They didn't look out of place at all. Especially this young, I call him a clown, Antonio Makulic from Golden Plains. I mean, he's just one of those young men that light up a dressing rooms full of jokes. Want to strangle him at times, but he just quiet. He's just such a lovable guy. He just keeps the dressing room entertained, let's put it that way. The other youngsters, I mean, they're all slotted in. Most of these guys didn't know each other until they came to the club, and if you look at them today, okay, apart from this isolation period, they're all hanging out together, they're contacting each other, they're having friendly banter, so everyone's getting along really, really well. And I mean, we are firm believe in a team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another. And I think the boys have come together as a family. I mean, that's what Barwon's all about at the end of the day.
Now, Dale, it sounds like you have got some bright young sparks in the dressing room there now at Reserve Road. Has the mood on the return to training matched the mood on the trip home on the bus from the Frankston line?
Ooh. The training sessions are very competitive, so it has been difficult in this isolation period. But going back to the Franks and Pines game, Glenn and I, by the reserve team, former reserve team coach and my assistant, we got a rule: if our boys win, we'll supply the slabs on the way back, and if they lose, they supply our drinks. So, but it was a cheap round because half of the players were kids. So, it was rather cheap, right? So
they're just buying a slab of Coke in the end.
Sorry?
Buying a slab of Coca-Cola or something instead.
Now, Dale, I just wanted to quickly ask you, time is starting to get away from us. How are things looking at the community men's area, so the local league, or the Sunday league, as they say? And we also heard from Colin that the women, the numbers have really picked up, and there have been some good numbers at training. How are the numbers in the reserves, the local men's division competitions as well? How's that all looking?
I think we've got each team, state senior, state reserves, both got 16 in each squad. The Sundays have got 18, the Div 2's got 18, the Div 3's got about 14, 15, and it's climbing all the time. The ladies are on about 16 to 18, bounces around, but getting calls all the time for players that are interested. I mean, the Div 1 side is under Bo Wilson this year, is really they're going to be a strong squad with at least 12 to 13 players that were state players last year are playing in the one squad. So it's created a chain reaction, and all our teams are actually coming along in strength, in numbers, and in the squad. So in depth. So community level is looking very good. There's competition all over the show. So That's the important thing, and the numbers are like we are a community team. The results aren't always what matters, but we enjoy each other's company a lot better more when we do win, don't we?
Goes without saying. Now, we've got a couple of people making quite a fair bit of comments. Not even going to bother about what Craig's saying. Something to do with drinking and something about you're not able to, Harris, or something along those lines.
He's talking about the Wales trip.
Kieran Robinson says something a little bit more intelligent. He says, hats off to you, Dale, as a coach. Them young people are really enjoying their football. It's a credit. Now, Gene Digi Domenico simply says P. Now, is that meaning P as in small? As in, is he referring to you, or is he talking about something else?
Wouldn't know. Don't have a clue. I just got that face that everyone wants to tease.
There you go. Richard Ryan makes a really good point. He's talking about if the clubs didn't keep players engaged during the isolation, only dedicated players are going to stick around. It was nice to hear they implemented at least something to keep the kids going, i.e. what Barwon had during the lockdown. I've heard a lot of clubs went cold turkey during the isolation. This isn't very good for the kids' development. The off-season is long enough as it is. That's another point, Dale. During the lockdown period, during this hiatus, what did you do to keep the players motivated?
We just kept in touch, basically. Video chatted. We kept the group chats going. We kept them active. The committee had little projects on the side, and the committee were full of ideas. Colin and Dave were fantastic. I mean, we all got around each other. In that time, you have to get together and work as a unit and come together. And we just kept everything active, like Colin said earlier. And the boys responded well. We try to make the conversations as light as possible and not try and concentrate on the issue at hand all the time. And it worked a charm. The boys couldn't wait to see each other. It was like reuniting a long lost couple. So it wasn't overly difficult for us to do that. The boys basically handled that part of it on their own.
Now, Dale, you've been really successful in the last off season in being some of the top young talent to the club, to another club. Can you talk a bit about your own personal coaching experience and education that's got you to this point? Because obviously you're a popular guy to play under.
It's not much to say about that. Treat a player right and he'll always come back to you, I guess. I'm a firm believer in it's the best player will play regardless of age. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And I am a firm believer in the youth, and I think that's what's helped me over the years with a lot of the youth talents, especially like the bigger clubs that they're not getting an opportunity. And the reputation does get around that, this club gives a lot of the youngsters shots. Let's go there. And we have attracted a lot of good quality youngsters. It's not just down to me, it's down to the club itself. The club is just, people want to be here. The club is just fantastic. It's growing by the day. And we are becoming a club, although we're in the lower ranks, we are becoming a club that everyone wants to be a part of. Well, a lot of people, won't say everyone. And nothing to do with me. It's just luck, I guess.
Fantastic. Dale, thank you very much for joining us. Time is getting the better of us. We're going to have to leave you there, unfortunately, but it's unanimous. All the viewers of the Geelong Region Soccer Show are going to dip in their pockets, and we're going to try and raise some money so that we can get a good Wi-Fi tower or something down at Grovedale Reserve. It seems that all we've had, and either that or we're just going to have to do something about Dale Harris. It looks like maybe you're letting off some radio activity or something. Every time you've come into the building, we've just had really, really bad audio. But all jokes aside, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the very, very best for season 2020, and we'll love to get you back on, but this time maybe live in the studio.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having us, and a big thanks to Gordon for nominating us to be the club focus of the week. Thank you a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
Good on you.
Thanks very much, Dale, and good luck when the play resumes for your guys.
And that was Dale Harris, the senior men's coach of the Barwon Soccer Club. It was really great to talk to the guys from the Barwon Soccer Club, but yeah, unfortunately, we just had really, really bad audio. So apologies for that. But Steve, we're almost out of time now. Next week we've got a special sponsor that is coming on board, Soccer Kids Australia. They're a new organisation. James Masterman, who has had something like 18, 19 years of coaching experience in Dubai, has made Geelong his home, thanks to Cupid, good old Cupid, doing her best, and he's going to come on the show now. Now he's an interesting chap, great experience. Who's also played in the Leeds and Middlesbrough system, and he'll be involved in a coaching school, which will be based at the it's called the out in Furner Avenue. It's called the Nimble Hits Indoor Sports Stadium out on Furner Avenue. So on the screen you can see Term 3 coaching starts the 15th of July. Call James on 0410 164 877. You can sign up now for your free coaching session. And Steve, out at Nimble Hits, a lot of people would know it as Action Indoor Sports. It used to be a great facility for indoor cricket, and they also used to have, I think, kids used to have birthday parties and what you're not there. But that is they're going to be having like a school clinic there as school holidays clinic as well. So there it is, Soccer Kids Australia, internationally accredited coaching academy. At Nimble Hits Indoor Sports Stadium. For registration or for more details, contact James Masterman, 0410 164 877. There's a website there as well, soccerkidsaustralia.com. And there are 3 different levels: soccer tots from ages 3 to 5, soccer kids 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and then finally 12 plus is known as the SK Elite. So both club-wise and also with regards to clinics and what unites, there's a lot for the kids now, and just in time for the school holidays, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, big thanks to James for getting on board to sponsor the show next week, and yeah, wish him all the best of luck with the Soccer Kids Australia. Yeah, I do like the name of that, Nimble Hits.
Nimble Hits. Yeah, it's like Westfield Bay City. I'll forever known it, refer to it as Bay City Plaza. Yeah. And no matter what you say or do, that's always going to be the case. But yeah,
that's how you know you've lived in Geelong for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And Nimble Hits is something that you probably will always refer to as action sports or action indoor sports. Everyone knows it by that. But yeah, it'll be fantastic. He'll be coming on the show next week. Now we've got a major announcement as far as next week's guest. It's a huge announcement. It's an international guest. The first time we're going to have an international guest. But look, I'm excited about this. The chap that we're going to have next week, he's a Geelong born and bred person. Was never really involved with football or soccer in Geelong, but he 30 years ago moved to Croatia, where he has ended up staying, once again, maybe due to Cupid and other reasons. He's ended up staying there, and he's now the football director at one of the biggest clubs in the Croatian First Division, a club that has a very, very strong Australian connection. Over the years, many Australians have played at this club. But also, would you believe, Steve, that every time they score a goal, the players of Lokomotiva Zagreb, who are currently second on the standings in the Croatian Premier League, they actually celebrate to the music of Kylie Minogue's Locomotion. Can you believe it? And I wonder if that's got anything to do with our guest for next week. But Denis Gudasic is is the general manager of Lokomotiva Zagreb, who just this morning came back from 2-0 to defeat one of Croatia's biggest clubs, Hajduk Split, 3-2. And 2 weeks ago, they beat the champions, the newly crowned champions, Dinamo Zagreb, also in an astounding result. So next week, Steve, we're going to be talking to a man who's not only made it big in Croatian football, but he's also completed some sort of a degree. He'll tell us a lot more about that with the famous UEFA Academy. So as far as sports administrators is concerned, he will be involved in that. So it's looking forward to that, and that is a major coup. We'll be able to really see and get some insight into how a small country like Croatia continuously produces world-class talent, and yet they've got less of a population than what Melbourne has. So looking forward to that next week. Denis Gudasic, the football manager or general manager, of Lokomotiva Zagreb, will be here on the show, as will James Masterman from Soccer Kids Australia. So really looking forward to next week's program, Steve.
Yeah, it's a good story, Tonchi. It's I guess two things there. It really sums up the great narratives in our game, being the world game, that you can connect Geelong to Zagreb so effectively like that via a phone call next week as well, and a story going back many years. But also, I have to say that when I was over in Zagreb, I actually got to see Lokomotiva playing against Dinamo, and I'm knowing that that goal celebration track that you just mentioned, I'm devastated they didn't score a goal in that match. So I could have heard Kylie coming over the speakers.
We'll have to get some footage of that. I tell you what, but yeah, incredible stuff, and also Fran Karacic. If you remember he never set foot in Australia, but he was almost going to make his international debut playing for the Socceroos by virtue of the fact that his father is Australian born. But at the last minute, he wasn't chosen in the World Cup squad. And it looks like he'll probably be lost to the Socceroos. But at one stage, it looked like he was going to be a Socceroo member. Well, he actually originates from Lokomotiva, and in fact is a Lokomotiva Zagreb player. And in fact, I think he may well be the club. Yeah. I think he may well be the captain of the club. Correct? Yeah. But to me, it's just an amazing story that a Geelong-born and bred boy is now making it big, not as a player like what his compatriot Joey Didlica did, represented Croatia, and another Geelong-born boy. But he's making it big as a football administrator in the cutthroat environment of European football. So really going to be looking forward to that. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people, particularly from down North Geelong way, who will be very keen to tune into next week's program. Cannot wait.
The question will be, Tonchi, do you think he goes to Mark Viduka's coffee shop?
That's a good question. We might actually have to ask him. I did notice on the substitutes bench this morning on Lokomotiva's side, there is a Viduka. Don't know anything much about him, but would be interested to know if it's any relation to the V bomber. We will have to ask him about that that question and Mark Viduka's cafe. But Steve, what's on for the rest of the week? Going to hit the gym now that the gyms are open?
I'm not sure. I still might just stick to my my outdoor running and my home gym routine. I think is my preference at the moment. But good to see, just for the sake of the health industry, they've copped a fair whack that they can get back into business though. What about you, mate?
Mate, I hope to be getting back and pumping the weights and pumping the iron and all of that kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I've really missed it. And that's going to be my plan of attack. But before then, Thursday, make sure you tune into the Football Out West program at 7 o'clock on the Football Out West News Facebook page, but also simulcast on this very page. Will Hasty, the football operations manager at Football Victoria, will be joining us to answer a lot of questions, and cannot wait. It should be fantastic. Steve, on that note, we're going to say goodbye.
Thanks, Tonchi, and a good night to everyone.
What do you need to succeed?